The Germans were rounding up all the young men. Normally they'd just block the road and arrest people, but this time the trucks pulled over and soldiers jumped out. Then they stormed into people's houses. We didn't know what they were doing. Then we saw the soldiers march men out onto the streets, load them onto the trucks and leave. They'd never done anything like this before.
If people hid in the flats, the Germans went in looking for them and dragged them out using force. They were mainly after men, but they rounded up others as well. Trucks were on the go constantly throughout the morning. Karol Wojtyła managed to go and hide. He hid there at home and prayed for hours on end.
No one could fail to be frightened by this kind of business. His response to that was to put his life into God's hands. And for some reason that none of us know the answer to, the house-to-house search did not turn him up.
Karol remained in hiding for more than 12 hours. And then came a knock at the door. It was Irena Skoska, whose family had helped him recover from the truck accident.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
She'd been sent by the Archbishop to lead him to safety.
Please.
They took the shortest route they could. They needed to cross the Debniki Bridge and to try somehow to get through safely.
Irena acted as a lookout, and they picked their way for over a mile across a city still swarming with army and police.
My grandmother was very brave, but she must have been scared. Any minute they could have run into a German patrol and been shot without warning.
After almost an hour of creeping through the streets, he finally reached the Archbishop's palace. He would not leave its walls for the next 6 months. Archbishop Sapieha had gathered all his surviving trainee priests together in the hope he could protect them.
By the time I arrived, Karol Wojtyła was already there. There were a few of us boys, I can't remember exactly how many, and we were ordered to put on cassocks so we looked like priests. We were told not to wear civilian clothes in case the Germans came looking for us. Sapieha had called us together and he told us now he was going to finish training us.
The Archbishop issued false identity papers to the trainee priests in case they were raided. Life outside the walls of the palace was now far too dangerous for them. No one could know where they were.
For 6 months we managed to survive with fake documents. Not that we ever went out. They were hunting for us. Sapieha used to say that if the Germans did find us, then we would all be sent to Auschwitz along with him.
Life at the Archbishop's palace was an intense and claustrophobic experience. Karol Wojtyła continued his preparation to become a priest, knowing that outside the walls of the palace, the war still raged.
I read, I write, I study, I think, I pray, I struggle with myself. At times I feel a great oppression, depression, despair, evil. At other times, as if I'm seeing the dawn, the aurora, a great light.
In Krakow, by Christmas 1944, there was renewed hope that the end of the war was in sight. The Russians were battling their way through German lines to liberate the city. On the 18th of January 1945, the Nazis were finally forced to abandon Krakow. Karol and his friends were free.
It was a great feeling. I mean, now we could live in hope. Hope that one day Poland might be a free country once more.
The end of the war was a great moment. I was with my family, and there was a feeling of huge joy that at last the Nazi occupation was over, and we would be a free country once more.
The German occupation of Poland was over. But any celebration was tempered by memories of those killed or missing. 6 million Poles had died, almost 1/5 of the population.
5 terrible years have come to an end. 5 years marked by memories of fear, violence, extreme poverty, death, tragic experience of painful separation, endured in the absence of all security and freedom. Recurring traumas brought about by the incessant bloodshed.
Karol continued studying under his mentor, who had been made Cardinal Sapieha. In November 1946, at the age of 26, he was ordained a priest.
He had a very high idea of what the priesthood meant, and he writes about the transformation that's come over him when he is ordained. So he's somebody who knows what his life is for, in a way, by then, and that sense of direction has been forged in the fire of the experience of going through the Nazi occupation.
By the time this young man is 22, 23, 24 years old, he is a very, very mature human being who has looked into the heart of evil and come out whole from that experience, and not only come out whole, but come out determined to spend out his life in defense of the dignity of the human person.
10 days after his ordination, Karol performed one of his first ceremonies as a priest, when he baptized the daughter of his close friend, Halina Kwiatkowska.
It was his first baptism as a young priest. You could see he was nervous, and Monica, my baby, was screaming loudly. But everything went as planned.
4 days after the baptism, he left Krakow for Italy. He had been singled out by Cardinal Sapieha to continue his studies in Rome. His firmly held convictions, forged during the war, would help him rise rapidly through the Catholic Church in Poland. Until in 1978, just over 30 years after joining the priesthood, Karol Wojtyła would become Pope John Paul II.